Good evening, and welcome to another Wild Wednesday episode of Moen After Dark here on the College Football Mafia Network.
Whoop.
We got some new digs, we got some new toys, we got some old friends. Our friend Rec Talk is joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for
tonight.
being here, Rec.
As we
Say
talk
hello
about-
to the bad guy.
Say hello to the bad guy. That's right. And we'll go ahead and we'll throw a little Georgia Tech up there on him. Just so you know who he represents. He represents that Ramblin' Rec from Georgia Tech.
Absolutely.
We're going to scratch that realignment itch tonight for everybody. We know everybody's excited. There's lots of rumors swirling. The national championship is over. Ohio State has won. It is time to talk about conference realignment yet again, at least until spring football, guys, at least until the spring games. So we've had a lot of news and rumors and innuendos coming out there, but we're going to tackle it all tonight. So how you doing tonight? Go first to Bomber, and then we'll go to Rec Talk.
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. This is a show we've been trying to get scheduled for a few weeks now with Rec, so we're really appreciative that he could join us tonight. And realignment, ACC, ESPN contract. We're going to talk about all that stuff, but North Carolina is right in the middle of all of it.
Absolutely. Rec Talk, what do you think about that? The Tarheels holding it down, bluffing, going nuclear. What are your thoughts?
You talking about our little kid we beat 4 years in a row?
Ooh,
Yeah. I look, there's a reason I have FSU Part 2 put here, and I put it in the chat like, where have I heard this before?
right.
And that's exactly what the hell Florida State did last year. How well did that work out for them? Now they're pretending like they never wanted to leave. I mean, I just feel like it's a bunch of posturing and wishful thinking. It's almost like a doomsday cult, you know. February 1st, we're out. Oh no, we got to push it back now. I think it's actually kind of silly, but we'll get into it. It is interesting to talk about.
Absolutely. And we've got some people in here. We're going to say hello to some people. As always, we defer to member comments, guys, but we'll try to get to as many comments as we can. I see before we even started, we got a boatload of comments in here. So if you absolutely positively want to have it read, it'll have to be a super chat. Otherwise, we're going to defer to member comments. Just as a side note, if you are watching us on the channel for the first time, please give us a like, subscribe, check us out. We do cool stuff here. We have fun. We make masturbation jokes.
Stop. Oh, like,
Okay.
tune out for a second. You're talking crap. I'll be right back.
Nate, okay. So Nate made that joke. That was Nate before the show made that joke.
Well, he's on the phone now. We can talk about it.
Yeah. Nate made that joke before the show, but we're going to talk a little realignment today. We'll get to your comments. As a side note, before I got sidetracked by Nate's dirty jokes, there is a new video on the channel from our friend Wild Ute at Wild Ute University breaking down the Pac-12 candidates coming out of the great state of Texas. That is free to everybody. You do not have to be a member. He will have a new members only video coming shortly. But in the interim, I would suggest if you're interested in the Pac-12 and where they're possibly going, we'll talk about the Pac-12 realignment a little later too. Definitely check out Professor Wild Ute's latest Wild Ute University Pac-12 expansion deep in the heart of Texas. All right, let's get to the comments. Say hello, hi, how are you? Ni hao.
I've got them all marked for you, Moen.
Okay. Timothy Green's first in the house says, hello, Moen After Dark. Let's all get ready for another great show. Thank you, Timothy Green. You're an OG. You are a VIP. You are a BMOC, and whatever other acronym you want to go by, sir. It is much appreciated.
He's on our eastern border with the soldiers sitting on the borderlands protecting us. That's how I think about him.
Absolutely. Thank you for stopping by, Timothy Green. Conundrums here. It's true. Big Mountain Podcast said so. Okay.
Nice.
Well,
oh my gosh. Rec, what do you have to say about that? Big Mountain Podcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that claim to know things, and then when you don't agree with them, they'll tell you to do your research.
Right.
We'll see. I've heard a lot of channels, and what they'll do is they'll bring on an expert insider, which is just some other brain dead YouTube friend they have. So I'm people need to practice something called skepticism today, I think.
That's a good way to look at it. I like it.
Absolutely. We just speculate here. We don't know anything. We don't have any insiders that we talk about. So just speculation, pure speculation, guys. But we'll let you speculate and we'll talk about speculation.
I'd say it's educated speculation. We're not
Educated
just
speculation.
Yeah.
We are scholars up here.
Absolutely. I like that. Scholars as well.
Conundrum again, SEC big scheduling agreement, 2 games, 1 in week 3 home and 1 in week 4 away. Big goes to 8 conference games. That is certainly a thing. I don't know if the Big's going to do that, but that is certainly a possibility. Friends call me Sean. ESPN doesn't have to worry about dissolution and protects investment for 6 more years. Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson save a lot of money and get out. ACC survives and has 6 years to rebuild. Wake, Boston College still get more cash than G5s.
Oh, oops.
Well, Rec Talk, I don't know where you're going to be at in that.
Let me tell you something.
Okay.
You talking to the 4-time national champions. You talking to the kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, kiss stealing son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time keeping these Yellow Jackets down. Don't you forget that when you leave your comment.
Absolutely. You heard it from the man, the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Rick. Woo!
Woo woo.
Woo!
Dropping that Ric Flair drip.
Yes,
Nathan Campbell's in the house, says hi. Good to see you, Nathan. Jose's in the house. If anything, Big goes to 10 conference games, really.
no.
Okay. Maybe with Georgia Tech. Conundrum, SEC goes to 18 teams, same as Big. Both conferences play 8 conference games. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So we're getting all these comments, and keep them coming, guys, right? Moen's going to get all through these things. I'm posing this to the community. What's the motivation? Not one person's been able to tell me what the motivation would be for the Big or the SEC to expand right now.
There's none.
Can somebody riddle me that? Somebody tell me what is the impending doom that tells the Big Ten or the SEC they need to expand anytime soon?
Yeah, people kind of they don't take the argument to its logical conclusion. It's kind of like flat earthers that say there's this ice wall, right? And it's like, but why? Why would you lie? What is the point of lying? What's the benefit of that about the shape of the earth? The only reason the SEC or Big would want to add more teams is an arms race with the other conference. Right. If one conference added one, then they would want, if Big added one, the SEC would want to add another. The teams in those conferences have to vote that, and they're vehemently against it because then they get their share cut.
That's right.
Unless it adds money to the media deal.
And what school is the only school?
The only school that is guaranteed that is Notre Dame.
Is Notre Dame, which means who thinks Notre Dame's going to walk away from $40 million that they get when they make it to the championship every year?
Oh, yeah, they're not going to do that. They have their own TV deal and everything.
Yeah, there's no reason to. Again, So what is the reason?
Again, my theory on this, and I've said this to somebody else, I think UNC, I agree with Rec Talk. I think they're posturing. I think they're posturing to get Notre Dame to do something. I think they want Notre Dame to leave the conference. They can
want Notre Dame all they want. I just don't see any motivation for Notre Dame.
Well, I know, but if North Carolina says, okay, we're getting out too, ACC instability, you force Notre Dame's hand, maybe UNC thinks they get out cheap or cheaper.
A lot of ifs.
Well, I mean, I want to have sex with Jennifer Aniston. We'll see who gets lucky first between me and UNC.
All of those things can be true. I just, at the end of the day, that somebody has to answer that question and make it a reasonable answer, because we've already given you the facts. Notre Dame is the only school. That's a happy accident. I said conference. Notre Dame is the only school that can basically write its own check with evaluation. Clemson and Florida State, the next most valuable, maybe UNC in there as well. They're going to come in anywhere between 50 and 60 million. Is that enough to do a dilution move, just like Rec talked talked about, people giving up money. The only way I see it happening is if private equity came in and essentially bought a conference and said, here, Big Ten will give you $10 billion. And to do that, I need you to bring in 1 or 3 more schools or whatever. Other than that, I cannot see a reason to do it.
Yeah, if I give someone $10 billion, then I just own you. Like, there's no negotiation. Right. Everything that is yours is mine. Like, who's going to agree to that? Where have we heard that too? From Florida State fans. Yep, we're going to get all this Saudi money in, and then, we're going to do this, that, and other.
Well, it's good to have wishful thinking, right? That's okay.
No, you can have wishful thinking, but, I mean, it's kind of like when the Kirby Vacuum Man shows up. I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it. I'm selling that.
Kirby vacuums. Chief Fan says Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh to the Big 12, please. Okay. Morris Simmons says hello, everyone, and reminds us, go Noles.
Yeah, I don't think Morris is going to be a fan of mine tonight.
I don't think you're going to make easy, fast friends here. Daniel Gygax says hello, everyone. Good to see you, Daniel. Contributor on the Big 12 Mafia show. Conundrum says, thanks for broadcasting on Wednesdays.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
try. We didn't have a Moen After Dark this Sunday because of the championship game. So Nathan Campbell says, Moen, why would they take off 6 years off the contract?
Yep.
Got me. I can't give you a rational answer.
Yep.
But Ross Dellinger did put that out there today, guys, that somehow this extension with the ACC and ESPN was going to lower the gore from 2036 to 2030, 2031, which would coincide, obviously, with... Okay.
Mr. Carter.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't this sound very familiar to Pac-12 people? Think of all the stories that were right before the Pac-12 exploded that came out through Ross Dellinger, through Brett McMurphy, through John Canzano. These are planted stories that basically were saying one thing and one thing alone, that Pac-12 was going to survive. Didn't know how, but the story was the Pac-12 was going to survive. This is exactly the same type of messaging. This is a deal that they might be able to put together, but again, there's too many dangling strands for anybody to wrap it up real nicely and tie it in a bow. What is the motivation? Just to save the ACC? That's not a motivation.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When Texas and Oklahoma left, did you hear a word about that before it was announced?
No.
You heard the day before.
That was it. Same with the USC deal.
Yes, because Texas A&M.
That's right. You didn't hear it in weeks ahead of time. You're right.
Yeah, you didn't have every idiot YouTuber like me saying it was going to happen, in other words. Okay, I just make sure I'm...
No, you're exactly right. That's another good point. It's like, why are these stories being leaked? They're for a reason. If everybody thinks these are stories that are... they're just coming upon them like it was a revelation. They woke up one day and Ross Dellinger said, I have a perfect story idea. All I need is 2 sources and I'll publish it. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, and who's the one pumping it out? I mean, most of the time it's people advocating for that team. And can we step back? There's 2 questions I think you can ask here. Can this happen is one question.
Right.
Should this happen for your team? Is this what is best for your team? Let's take North Carolina, for instance. All right. A team that hasn't won their conference since Ronald Reagan was president. All right. Let's say that for the past decade, they were in the SEC. Do you think they're above 500?
No.
No, of course not.
Didn't Maryland get into the Big Ten?
Yeah.
I think so.
How's that working for them? So I think that all these teams are looking at this like money is the solution to all our problems. And when we get this money, I've heard this from North Carolina fans. Now, this is a team that was dumb enough to hire their DC, who was Jeff Collins, who was the worst coach in Georgia Tech history, that I don't know what more he could demonstrate to you, that he doesn't know what he's doing. Sets records, doo-doo records, meanwhile. So they don't have a track record of great decision making. So yeah, what I'm saying is they'll end up being Maryland if they go to the SEC. No one outside of Chapel Hill really cares about North Carolina that much anyways. I think they think that they're this massive brand. Their basketball brand loses money every year. So I don't think they're the draw that they think they are.
Well, I don't disagree with you, Rec Talk, but I mean, you got to look at Maryland. Maryland is doing very well for itself in the Big Ten. They did have to take some loans to get some solvency issues solved at the beginning, but they're certainly enjoying that $100 million plus media money payout. I don't know that North Carolina would necessarily be doing this just to get wins and losses on the football schedule. I think they want wins and losses in the ledger book.
That's right. It's exactly
sure.
Right.
And when was the last time you heard a single media personality nationally talk about Maryland?
Well, the last time it would have been DJ Durkin when the kid died in from the
about their program, about what they're doing on the field. No one's talking about them. So yeah, their finances look great. But if I'm a fan of North Carolina, I want to win. And by the way, the ACC kowtows to every single thing they want. They're set up pretty in the ACC as far as getting everything they want. Don't forget, this is a team that cheated for an entire decade. Nothing happened across all sports. So they get to do what they want. I kind of don't understand why they think this is the solution to all of their problems, but maybe I'm an ornery old man.
I actually think it has nothing to, I mean, money's nice. It's the perception. These universities want to be perceived to be in the upper echelon, and the upper echelon is the SEC and the Big Ten. I think money is a measuring stick. I think maybe access to the playoff and having more secured spots
that makes sense.
Is a vanity project. But in my opinion, the money is just, it's like the money comes with it. What they're really after is they want the perception. They want to be perceived on the same level as Ohio State, as Alabama, and
well, that's never going to happen.
That's my thing. I don't think the other stuff is important, but I think the only reason realignment has become such a thing is because of that perception deal.
That's a good point, because I don't know if you guys have seen this. You see this on Twitter a lot, and I've never seen this in college football history before. People won't talk about their team, but they'll take a picture where they find, like, if you're a North Carolina fan, I found a North Carolina jersey in Des Moines, Iowa. And then they're talking about their brand. Like, it's this weird time in college football. Like, I mean, okay, I want to win.
I don't disagree with you, but I kind of see Bomber's point of view. It's essentially the country club.
It is, absolutely.
If you ever meet anybody who golfs and is a member of a country club, that's the first thing they will tell you. It doesn't matter if they're the worst golfer at that country club. They'll say,
that's right.
Say, where do you play? Oh, I play at Bushwood. Yeah, I'm a member of Bushwood.
Yep.
So I mean, I can obviously see, UNC wants to be thought of. They are a public Ivy. They want to be thought of like Michigan. They want to be thought of like Texas. They want to be thought of like Cal.
That's right.
They want to be thought of, in that same echelon. Maybe not Cal, Michigan and Texas anyway. They want to be thought of in the same echelon as those, and they just feel that they're not getting there as a current member of the ACC conference.
Here's a comment from Greg. Greg Flugar, peek around the corner, people. The OG social media poobah. Go ahead, Moen.
Yeah. North Carolina men's basketball is falling behind SEC basketball because of lack of resources.
I don't understand that, though. I mean, you're the preeminent brand. It is true.
North Carolina, a blue blood of blue bloods in basketball, is looking right now straight into the face of not making the tournament again, which would be 2 out of the last 4 years. And why are they doing that? They're being starved of resources. They're putting all their money in football to stay relevant on the national stage, just like Utah did. Put all your money in football, hoping that will help keep and secure your spot, and they're starving their basketball programs.
That's wild.
They're not the only ones, by the way.
Yeah, everybody's falling behind the Big Ten and SEC.
Yep.
Other than Notre Dame. Obviously, Notre Dame's got the special deal. They've got their own deal with NBC. They get paid by ESPN for their part of the ACC network, even though they're not a full member. They get voting rights in the ACC, even though they're not a full member. Outside of Notre Dame, everybody is falling behind. It's just, and that's where private equity is going to come in. Got a super chat here from Rambling On with Zach Jones. The day UNC wins a natty in football is the day my eyes will be eaten by worms. In other words, I'll be dead in the ground. Georgia Tech over UNC.
This guy's a genius.
So
this guy's a genius.
Let's talk about UNC doubling down. Moen, let's just dive right into the details on the UNC news, would you? So that we can flush out this whole thing with Belichick's contract and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious if you didn't notice. They hired Bill Belichick. They did not hire Bill Belichick to coach in the ACC, guys. They're hoping for the Dion bounce, the prime effect, whatever you want to call it, where you can get people to tune in and buy season tickets and boost your relevance that way. Remains to be seen if that's going to happen. We were talking before the show that contract is very one-sided in Mr. Belichick's favor. I know from a lot of people, Pickles and Becky from Washington, they believe he only took the job in order to leave the job to his son, who was a former defensive coordinator at Washington, who is now joined.
He demanded that.
Staff. Yeah. So that's where we're at with UNC. And then we get these rumors that UNC has a date where they're going to mark in the sand where they're going to do something.
And what does that mean exactly?
You got me.
Okay.
It's vague. I don't know if they're going to take legal action.
Okay.
Again, I still think I'm of the belief, and this is just my speculation, is maybe they're trying to push Notre Dame to do something. I don't know.
Yeah, wow. I mean, and I see conundrum. One, he said that I don't understand why the ACC is failing. I literally did a whole video on that where I broke down the media draw of every single team. Like the reason the ACC is failing is because they failed to act when they could have done what the Big 12 did.
Right.
They didn't do it,
Yep.
And don't take this as I'm defending the ACC. I'm certainly a critic of the ACC, but realize that if you're a North Carolina fan, I don't know if conundrum is, all this private equity will rescue the Tar Heels. These are the exact same things Florida State fans were saying a year ago. The exact same things. And so I just fail to see how it's really any different. And maybe we can pivot. Like, I'm a huge critic of Belichick working out at UNC. I don't know where you guys fall, but I did a whole video on not only do I think this is a bad hire at the end of the day as far as success in football, I think it might go down as one of the worst hires of all time.
They're trying to duplicate what Dion did at Colorado. They're trying to build a team on personality.
Well,
and that brings money, that brings donors. You know, Dion, there's been rumors he's brought up to $200 million into that program in 2 years or even more. It's ridiculous.
Sure.
So that's my opinion. That's what UNC is not trying to get the 7-time Super Bowl champ or whatever for coaches from the NFL. In my opinion, they're trying to bring in a personality that will drive ratings, millions of eyeballs, just like Dion did, and then bring in booster money, raise the profile of the program, and be gone in a year or two. I think it's a short-term hit. It's like taking a hit of adrenaline.
The we're on to Cincinnati guy is going to be Deion Sanders at UNC.
We're on to Cincinnati. Wow, that's a callback. Yeah, I guess.
We're on to Cincinnati.
I think it's like casting a shitty movie and you just put The Rock in it for the box office. And I think they realize they're not going to be an overnight success of the football program. But you know what? People are going to tune in to see what Bill Belichick does at North Carolina.
I think that's
true. I know I am. I'm going to watch more North Carolina football than I ever have this season for sure. And a lot of it for me is going to be, I'm going to laugh at them when I do think this is going to end horribly. Because make no mistake, this better work. This better work. You got all your chips pushed in now on this working out. And if it doesn't, it might take 5 to 10 years to unring this. Because I don't know what their financial situation is. It doesn't sound great. And he can basically, like a crypto coin, rug pull you out of this contract at any point.
Right.
To the moon, Belichick coin.
Cash sign Belichick.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat, rambling on with Zach Jones. I appreciate it, sir. And I will give you a Georgia Tech for that. We'll put a little Georgia Tech symbol up there for you. Hold on. There we go. There you go. Got a little Georgia Tech going there. Morris Simmons lets us know that he thinks Florida State will get out of the ACC.
Okay. How?
I thought you were just pretending that you didn't want to get out, though. I'm confused.
Morris, can you tell us how that happens? I think you guys can stick around long enough and wear down the legal part of it. I still think you guys have a very strong legal claim if you stay in it. My fear for Florida State, and I'm a huge Florida State fan, is they surrender and do some sort of settlement just because it's the easier path with the ACC and decide to keep that conference together for another 5-6 years.
You know what we're not talking about is if these teams can break this grant of rights deal, what does that mean for the SEC and Big Ten? Those agreements aren't worth the paper they're written on either. So it's not just the ACC interest in this grant of rights meaning something. It's the two big boys in college football too.
Yeah, the Gore, they all came in on the ACC side, right? They countersued saying we want to protect the Gore. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't have the answer to that, Moen. Do you know?
I mean, that brings me to the topic of the Mountain West and the Pac-12. I mean, according to the Pac-12, they shouldn't have to pay the Mountain West because they signed that contract under duress. Why can't every school ever just say, I was under duress when I signed this?
Right.
I was under duress that I wasn't going to be in the ACC when I signed this, so you got to spring me right away. Again, these contracts, they're ironclad until they're not ironclad.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I've been saying on Twitter today. Everything is until it isn't.
Rambling on with Zach Jones again says, Bill Belichick could show me his 24-year-old girlfriend and I'd sign that letter of intent.
Man, that's wild too. There's not a bigger red flag than I am here for your money. And he probably understands that. I mean, he's not a dumb guy. Right. He knows what this trade is. Yeah. He knows trade. He's an NFL guy, right?
Exactly.
Thank you for the super chat, Rambling on. Two Masters.
Thank you, Rambling.
Professor Wild Ute.
Let's go.
Yes, if you haven't checked it out yet, please check into the new Professor Wild Ute University video. Pac-12 expansion candidates deep in the heart of Texas. He compares all the Texas G6 schools, see who might fit in there. You might be surprised who pans out at number one.
Nobody does it better than Wild Ute, by the way.
Nobody does it better. You want to sing a couple bars from that, Nate? While you're...
Nobody does it better. I don't know. It's James Bond, right?
Well, Carly Simon sang.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It was from Your Eyes Only, I think.
No.
Which one?
It was from The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh, Spy.
Daniel Gorby says, hello from Florida. Go Noles.
Go Noles.
Another fan of yours, Rec Talk.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, no one swatted at them harder than I did last year.
Hey,
I told them I would run them all off the internet, and I guess I failed.
I was just going to say, wait a second. Let's go back to Gorby. Oh, did you already pass his?
I already passed that up.
Daniel, thank you for being a member. All you guys that are posting, all you members, your loyalty is well-founded, and we really, really appreciate you. And all the stuff we put together is for our members. So I want to encourage those people to consider joining the College Football Mafia family. Hit that little $sign next to the comments and click one of those membership tiers and become a member, and you have access to all of our member videos, and there's tons of them.
Just do it.
Just do it. Do it. You want to do it. Illini Ted says the only one to trust are Flugs, the CFB Mafia, and friends, and Tywin Lannister because he drinks and knows things But
Hell yeah.
Illini Ted, I think you got that wrong. It's Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion Lannister drinks in no thing. Tywin Lannister is the father he shoots on the toilet. Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't watched that show from 10 years ago.
Are you a Tyrion Lannister or a Jon Snow? See, I like Jon Snow, but his infatuation with the wildlings up north, I don't quite get that. So,
Is this like Game of Thrones or something?
Yeah. I'm taking Tyrion simply because Jon Snow slept with his aunt. So
there you go. Yeah, but she's hot.
Hey-o.
Okay.
So that makes it okay?
That makes it okay, Nate?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it does.
Yeah, we can't argue with that. I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody.
FF18 Buffs, welcome to the show, Rec Talk. See you in Boulder on August 30th to settle the 1990 once and for all.
Good to see you, Fergie.
Appreciate it. You're not going to get 5 downs, I don't think, at any point, but we'll see what happens.
That was good times, boy.
Man, week 1 of 2025 has some fantastic games.
Yeah, there are some good games.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, you got Texas, Ohio State. It's just huge. Illini Ted says perhaps UNC is putting this out there about moving to SEC to try to start a bidding war, knowing the Big Ten has wanted them in the past.
A bidding.
I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, I don't know how that would be a bidding war because they're only going to make what those conferences give them. I mean, they're not going to make more than every other member of that conference.
No, not at all.
They'll probably make less, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they'll take a reduced pay for X number of years, most likely, if that were to happen.
Until the economy turns around, people are scrimping and crying for money. It's not the other way around. It's not a seller's market. So these broadcasters can really tell the conferences, take it or leave it. Can tell the schools, take it or leave it.
Absolutely. And thank you for being a member, Illini Ted. I love Coach Burt.
Absolutely.
If you're not following Coach Burt on Twitter, follow Coach Burt.
By the way, the economy is bad. You know who's not doing bad?
Who?
Georgia Tech grads. 1 in 6. If you didn't know we're millionaires, you know who's doing pretty shitty? Oh, those dogs. Oh, those dogs are still in the trailer park, typing away on my videos.
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy. Leave negative comments about Rec Talk in the comments section below.
Don't address them to me.
I hate all of them, dude. I can't stand. There's not a more annoying fan base than them, man. I'll go toe-to-toe any day.
You can do that when you win, though, Rec. You can do that.
I don't have to win. I say silly things all the time. It's like,
all right.
Rec Talk, what do I need to know about our new Gopher backup quarterback, Zach Pyron? Great show, guys.
Well,
Greg Flugar, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Greg. I've got a little something here for Greg since I know he loves it so much.
Oh, yeah. Let's get sounders. Let's get special effects.
Let's do.
Maybe your soundboard works.
I'm not worried about my soundboard. I got to get the comment off so Greg can see his little.
There you go. There's your hamburger.
Friend.
There you go.
Greg loves cheeseburgers, everybody. You know it.
So do I.
Yeah.
Quarterback Zach Gibson, you're asking the right guy. Probably no one. I'm an insider as it pertains to Zach Gibson. He is a good quarterback, 3-time state champ at 2 different schools. Has worked with some pretty good coaches. Won't go necessarily all into that. The thing with him is he had a horrible collarbone break against Miami his freshman year. And I think that might hold him back a little bit. I don't know about that injury, but he is definitely a guy that is very talented. Should be very good for you. I'm a huge Zach Pyron fan. I have his hold on a second. I'll show it to you. I've actually got his game-worn jersey right here.
Wow.
So, yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I'm a pretty big fan.
I love it. That's
Greg,
fantastic.
you need to get with Rec Talk and see if you can bid on that bad boy.
There you go. There you go. Thank you so much, Greg. Appreciate it.
He signed it, too.
He signed it. That's even better.
I think Haynes King signed it, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
We got gifted a membership from our friend
Woohoo!
Expedition Greg, who is a national champion Buckeye. Thank you, Greg. Steel Austin was gifted that membership. Thank you, Greg, for gifting that to Steel Austin. Talk about a pro wrestling name. There's one for you. Steel, if you're in the chat, make sure you thank Expedition Greg. You are now a member, and now you can get a sound effect. We will give you some milk.
He needs some milk.
Hey,
how about those dollar bills, Moen? Let's do some dollar bills.
Do some dollar bills.
There we go. Dollar bills, yo.
We're getting paid. Georgia Tech grads in the house, throwing the money.
Woo!
I love it. Thank you so much, Expedition Greg. And if you do receive a new membership, consider paying it forward and buying one for somebody else. Karma is real. I believe in it. And good things will come to you if you give somebody else a membership.
Nice.
Rambling on with Zach Jones. Pyron, I'm doing it too. Jesus Christ.
So what does that mean?
Oh, I think you got to go back to his super chat before that, Bomber.
Oh, okay. Can you explain it again really quick for me?
Well, yeah, I can pop up his. No, we can pop it up here because you missed it, I think. Rec always mixing it up. Zach Gibson and Zach Gibson. And then after that, he said, Pyron, I'm doing it too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gibson started before him. He's at Georgia State now. He was a guy that had the pocket presence of a cinder block, and it was not great. By the way, someone brought up the 1990 Georgia Tech national title. I happen to have a ticket to that game right here.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What were you like, 10 years old?
I don't give my age, man. There's some
5 years old?
Here.
You couldn't have been very old when that game was played.
How old do you think I am? Because I'm probably older than that.
I think you're 43.
I'm 67 years old.
Oh, whatever. You're not 67. Give me a break. Oh, brother. Ryan Willie checking in, Moen.
Member for 12 months.
I know. Thank you so much, Ryan. Love you, brother.
Sorry, Moen. Coach Burt has had too many cheeseburgers and hated it in the land of cheese. The Wisconsin Badgers are never going to get over that jilting that Burt gave them to head to Arkansas.
Nice.
Thank you for being a member, Ryan. Much appreciated, sir. Love having you here. By the way, I see a lot of people in chat. If you are playing the Georgia Tech game, please drink responsibly. I know we're saying Georgia Tech to an extreme amount tonight because we've got Rec Talk here, but you don't have to take a drink on every single Georgia Tech. Maybe pace yourselves, guys. You got to pace yourselves.
No, because then you can drink more before you hit a blackout state. That's a rookie move. By the way, CFP Plus says, bro, why do you have a ticket on hand? I'm glad he asked that. I actually went to magician school last year, and I can just produce things.
Hey. Magician school. I love it.
Yeah. Wow.
Laura Weiss checking in there, Moen.
Yeah. Since our guest is here, we are all getting loaded in the chat room. Cheers. Yes. Everybody is throwing the Georgia Tech down. Let's get a little field goal action going here. There goes the Crown Royal through the field goals.
Crown Royal through the upright.
Georgia Tech is in full effect.
Laura, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a longtime member, Laura. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Two Mastis' Cloak and Dagger. We don't play that drinking game here. That's too many drinking games, Two Mastis. You're going to.
This one ain't enough for you, man? Wow. This guy's a heavyweight.
Wild Utes in the house. He says, Mafia Georgia Tech drink, Mafia whiskey bottle, Mafia drank.
Good to see you, Ute.
Ute, Professor Ute, by the way, we mentioned it a couple times already. Got a new video up on the channel. Definitely check that out. He is the best in the business. What that business is, we don't know, but he is the best at it.
He's the best in these videos, these short form, data-driven, no emotion, strict data breakdowns on all these realignment targets and things that go on. That's what Wild Ute does.
Yes, but he did not do a Ric Flair impression. If he did a Ric Flair impression in his Wild Ute universities, I think they would go through the roof.
Okay.
I think he's from Michigan, isn't he? Does that mean you don't like Ric Flair?
I love
no,
Ric
he
Flair.
supports Michigan. He's not from Michigan. He's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's right. He did. I swear he ended up at Michigan. Well, he's been all over. He's kissed half the women in this country and made them cry. That's what I heard.
Yep. Not for me, man. You know who was born in Columbus, Ohio? Greatest wrestler who ever lived. Randy the Macho Man Savage. Oh yeah. Cream rising to the top here.
It wasn't the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik isn't from
No, you're thinking of the original Sheik from Detroit.
I'm not thinking original. I'm thinking of the Iron Sheik.
Well, the Iron Sheik is from Tehran, Iran.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad you brought up old Randy Poffo. You know, I know this is an aside for a second, but you know he did a diss track like in real life on Hulk Hogan. It's called "Be a Man, Hulk." It's great. Also, Joe Pesci has a rap album. If you didn't know that.
I did know that. I did unfortunately know that. I've heard it. It's actually does he
Wise
rap?
guy.
He does. Yeah, he does. He plays the lawyer from. He sings as the lawyer from.
My cousin Vinny.
My cousin Vinny. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What is a you?
We are getting way off track here.
We're getting too far off the track. We don't want to drop any
I'm trying to
elbows
keep you
on people
guys
here.
on the tracks.
All right. Daniel Gygax is a Gree Bomber, and Canzano said he was used, talking about stories being planted to achieve certain things.
Yes. Yep. Got John to admit that in an interview, actually.
You did, and it's right here on the channel if anybody's looking for it.
It is. Just look up John Canzano on the Big 12 Mafia, Big 12 there too, but College Football Mafia channel. And look for John Canzano. And there's a bunch of telling quotes from him about him being used by the Pac-12 during the Pac-12 Odyssey. And I kind of feel like Ross Dellinger right now is being taken advantage of. Let me just put it that way. I could be wrong.
And John does the entire Hard Times promo as Dusty Rhodes in that interview.
I don't think so.
I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth like you, Ric Flair.
They kick him in the butt and give him a gold watch.
You guys need to do a wrestling show.
I have a whole character that's a wrestler.
All right.
Steel Austin. If SEC moves to 9 games conference schedule and Big SEC makes a scheduling agreement to play an OOC game, 1 game against each other each year, that's 10 games. Power 2 won't schedule Notre Dame as well for 11 Power 2 games.
Yeah, they will.
Somebody's going to schedule Notre Dame, but
also, if they have 1 out of conference game, Lane Kiffin will bitch about that being the reason that he's left out of the playoffs.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin is such a crybaby.
What a joke. I used to like Lane Kiffin, but I'm like, my God, dude, you sound like my ex-wife. I cannot stand to listen to you anymore.
The last 2 years, he's turned into a whiner. There's no doubt about it.
The whole SEC has.
And
the entirety.
All he has to do is have a defense. Just your offenses put up, arcade game scores, but your defense gives them up too. Get a defensive coordinator in there that can actually stop somebody, maybe.
Anyone that thinks Ole Miss should have been in the playoffs, they lost to Kentucky, that was Kentucky's only SEC win.
Yeah, I know.
What are you talking about, man?
I know.
Someone needs to come down to the basement and knock the Cheetos out of your hand. Knock some sense into your head.
Yes. BYU got screwed. That's who got screwed.
Yeah. Georgia Tech should have been there.
Yeah.
Listen,
guys, nobody was going to stand a chance against that Ohio State team. Come on.
No.
Anybody's saying they were. Nobody's claiming that.
That was ridiculous, dude.
Except for the mythical national champions, the
hypothetical
Oregon
national
Ducks.
champion. Yes.
No. It's mythical.
They're not mythical.
They got somebody gave them the national championship.
They had 3 people give them national championships.
So stupid.
There were 3
absolutely
selectors who voted for them as national champions. So, we're making lots of friends tonight, Bomber. Way to go. We're going to alienate every fan base.
Everybody knows where I stand, so I'm not making news tonight at all.
Well, this is what college football is all about. You talk your shit, and then you go have a beer later.
There you go. There you go.
Steel Austin. Notre Dame's motivation to move to Big will be when they no longer able to schedule games against Power 2, Big/SEC, form a scheduling agreement. NBC won't pay Notre Dame as much for their content if strength of schedule drops. This, I don't disagree entirely with you, but again, I feel like this North Carolina stuff that we're hearing now, it just feels to me like they are trying to get Notre Dame to move. I think they want Notre Dame to leave the ACC.
Well,
I'm not
the ACC, so
I'm not at all. This isn't a shot at Steel Austin, but I 100% disagree with that. Notre Dame is the biggest TV draw in the country.
yes.
They're the biggest, bigger than Ohio State, bigger than Texas, bigger than Bama, all of them. Like, people are not going to not schedule them. Right? This is a business. Look at the NFL right now with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and stupid Taylor Swift. You don't think there was a major, push to get them in? Of course there was. Notre Dame will be fine.
Notre Dame's never going to join a conference as long as they keep the same access they currently have. They have the vote. They vote like a conference in the autonomy leagues. They vote like a conference, and they carry their own access into the CFP. They're the at-large. So you get 5 conference winners, the best 5 conference winners, and then you get 1 at-large. And that's always going to go to Notre Dame. Unless they lose 3 games, I'm a firm believer that Notre Dame gets in any 12 or 16 team playoff.
Yeah, this would make more sense if we were locked into a 4-team playoff. Then you might see them being forced into movement. But in a 12-team playoff where they always have an avenue, they're not joining a conference.
Yep.
Absolutely. Rock and Rant, who is a contributor,
Rock!
my co-host on the Sunday edition of Moen After Dark.
Good to see you, Rock.
We're working out the kinks tonight. We've got the new studio set up. I've got new soundboards. I've got to get them loaded in here. Everything should be good for Sunday, sir. We will see you then. He wants to let us know, okay, what the hell with Rec Talk in a tie? Also, shout out Wisconsin. 13 days later, no lawsuit. Glass houses, Badgers. Also, fuck Notre Dame.
Fair.
Oh my hell!
I got to.
I love Rock and Rant.
He's a stud.
I'm only applauding the Notre Dame part.
No, he is absolutely a stud.
If you guys don't know, like, I'm kind of driven by hate. Like, I just lean into it. I hate. Like, this is why I don't understand, like, the SEC. Like, they love, like, their conference and they chant SEC. Like, I literally hate every other team in my conference. And I especially hate Miami, like, because I went there partly in my honeymoon and there was, like, greasy half-eaten chicken legs in the hotel room. And I hate the whole city of Miami. But Rock and Rant, if I can get along with a Miami fan, that tells you Rock and Rant's the real deal.
Yeah, you got to be an optimist about this Rec Talk, though. They were half eaten. It means half of them were still there. Come on.
I guess if you're a Georgia fan, you can't afford a hot meal. You can at least get a greasy half-eaten chicken leg.
Oh, brother.
Ryan Willie in the chat leaves a super chat for us. Thank you again,
Woo-hoo!
Ryan.
Ryan, thank you.
Joe Namath in here. We've got a lot of.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
Notre Dame will regret not keeping USC on their schedule. We'll see, because that's being mentioned that might be taken off in favor of a long rivalry with Clemson.
Who has the will to go up against Notre Dame? It would have to take all 4 of the power conferences to align together to fight and drive Notre Dame into a conference. Does anybody see that ever happening?
No.
I don't see there's a will.
I think
to
Notre
do it.
Dame. Yeah, I think Notre Dame will have to come of their own accord,
And they're not going to.
I believe they will eventually.
In 2050? Like,
Again,
what is the motivation?
Well, if Ross Dellinger is correct about what he leaked today about this Gore ending in 2031, again, that's the exact same time frame
they're proposing, right?
Yes, sure.
Right.
But I mean, that's the exact same time frame the SEC and Big Ten's media deals are coming up. So,
but it doesn't have anything to do with the motivation to join. So they roll it to 2031. I still need to hear a motivational. What's the lever to drive them into a conference?
I think the fact that if the ACC collapses, let's say Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Virginia all these prestigious institutions, they like to rub elbows
They
with.
vote to dissolve the conference.
Well, they don't vote to dissolve. They get picked up by other conferences. Let's just
Thanks
say
for stroking my ego in this. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech. Let's say Georgia. Let's just say UNC, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson go to the SEC.
Okay.
Let's say Georgia Tech, winds up in
Miami.
the Big Ten. Miami ends up in the Big Ten.
Stanford
ends up in the Big Ten.
Okay.
At that point, I think you would see Notre Dame relent. I think they would have to see the writing on the wall at that point. But I could be wrong. But again, it's that country club mentality. Right now, they're in a country club in the ACC. I mean, it's nice rubbing elbows with Stanford and UNC and Georgia Tech.
But Rec just said it. Everybody wants to play Notre Dame.
They do.
Sure.
Their
Except for
numbers are
me.
so big, they can continue to drive ratings, and they'll only have to win 1 or 2 prestigious games a year, and they'll get that access to the CFP. So everything you're talking about, they're great. They're great ideas, great things. But how many things of those have to fall into place for the SEC to pick up 2 to 4 schools? I haven't heard one reason why they would do that. There's not enough money to support that move. And the Big Ten, outside of a Notre Dame and a Stanford, what's their motivation to pick up any schools? They have to be forced into it, or they have to willingly walk in for some reason.
I 100% see what you're saying, Nate, but you're talking in $2025.
No, I'm talking
about
$2031.
$2031. There might be money there. There might be enough money in the media deal with streaming, Netflix. Look at Netflix, what Netflix has done in the last year.
Yeah, Bob Thompson spoke on that 2 weeks ago, though, and he said Netflix they're not looking. They're looking for this prestige games. They're not looking to do a season with any conference. That's not going to happen.
They could come in there and say, "Give us a Big Ten Friday night."
One game. That doesn't make an entire season.
One game, and we'll pay you $1 billion a season.
Oh, Lord. These are all pipe dreams. These are all
Netflix can't stream Mike Tyson's ass without it buffering. You think they can stream Notre Dame season?
That's exactly right.
They stream Monday Night Raw every week, and they've had no issues with it so far. And they had over 5 million people tune in on the app.
I've heard over and over and over again is, well, if, and maybe will, and it could be. Nobody's talking in facts because there are no facts to talk about.
Well, there are no facts to talk about. We can't talk until we can speculate that.
Of course, and that's what I would prefer we talk about. Yeah, we talk to how these are potentialities, right?
These are all hypotheticals.
That's right.
Just
I
like
just want to be very
SEC
clear. We're
national
not telling anybody
championships.
for sure that's going to happen. That's all I'm saying.
Ricky Tungate gifted a membership to the
Yes,
College
Ricky,
Football
in the
Mafia. Thank you,
house.
Ricky.
Thank you, Ricky.
Here. Let's do a milkman.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
That went to Chef Mall 7. If you're in the chat, Chef Mall 7, please make sure to thank Ricky Tungate for gifting you that membership. It is much appreciated, Ricky Tungate, Mr. Hoosier, coming off a fantastic season for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Absolutely.
And we were fantastic because they stopped another SEC team from getting it. Thank you, Ricky.
Yes, Ricky, thank you so much. He's also a member for 7 months.
Also a member for 7 months. And let's see. Give him a little Keith Jackson. Whoa, Nelly there for you.
I wish that was louder. We need to work.
Again, I've tried.
You're getting beat up, Moen.
Oh no.
You try and find clips of Keith Jackson, like finding clips from the 1990s on YouTube.
Right, it's hard.
Trust me, it's really hard. And I like deal in obscure media from the 1980s and 90s. So
Greg Flugar again keeping us on track with all the ACC talk in North Carolina. Notre Dame without ACC needs to park their Olympic sports in a conference. So if ACC loses North Carolina, it's going to get a bit more dicey. There's no doubt about it. If North Carolina leaves the ACC, that's one of those pillar programs. The conference will begin to disintegrate. But again, what is going to drive North Carolina to leave? And say they do want to leave today, and I would imagine they want to join the Big Ten or the SEC. The SEC and the Big Ten still have to offer to bring them in. And to do that, they have to have money There's a dollar amount that's tied to each one of these schools, and do they bring in enough to offset what they might lose by bringing in another mouth to feed?
Well, they're going to pay the ACC out too.
Right.
I mean,
Whatever the
whether
payout
you
is,
get out of
right.
the grant rights or not.
Right.
That's the other thing. We have an epidemic of people sitting on their couch that magician law degrees. No one understands this stuff.
Right.
The lawyers don't understand this stuff. That's why you have to get in front of some judge and argue your point. And I'm going to tell you something. These things are expensive, and they take a long time. If Florida State couldn't get out of it, and they tried harder than anybody, what makes you think North Carolina is?
Absolutely. But I would put out there what has been posited before. We don't know this is true, but the idea that if Notre Dame somehow left the ACC, it springs the other teams.
If UNC left the ACC?
No, if Notre Dame was to not become a full member of the ACC. We know they have that clause that says they have to become a full member. But apparently a lot of people are of the belief that if Notre Dame was to leave, it would give precedent to the other ACC schools. Which is why I think this North Carolina news coming out, I think it might be attempting, and this is just me, this is speculation, this is Moen's opinion. Moen has no facts on this. All Moen knows is he's a national champion and the world's greatest grandpa, according to the mug. But I think this is probably UNC trying to push something.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
They're
I
trying
think
to
they want
climb into one of those two leagues.
they want to elicit a reaction from somebody.
I agree with you. I think you're right.
And I think that somebody's Notre Dame. But
a conversation's two ways, right? They can want all they want. They can drive as much, but somebody else has to be receptive on the other side.
And I don't disagree. And that's why we got the title of the show, Who's Gonna Call Their Bluff? I mean,
and at the end of the day, the ACC blows up if, and then ... and there's thousands of answers there. The ACC survives if North Carolina leaves. I personally don't think it does. The ACC survives if Florida State and Clemson leave, not at the same valuation. The ACC survives if Notre Dame leaves. No, that's BS. They need Notre Dame. Otherwise, they drop down below the Big 12. And that ego would kill that conference. Are they going to stay in the lawsuit? If Clemson and Florida State are going to ride that thing to the end, don't settle. Don't take an easier settlement. That could be an all or nothing thing. That could go from $500 million to $0. Anywhere in between. What was the number we came up with? Was it 200 or 300 million that you did the calculation? Anything less than 300 million, I think.
330 something million.
Anything less than $300 to $330 million, and the ACC is unsustainable at its current valuation. So if they can't get $300 to $330 million out of every school leaving that conference, it ceases to be viable in the long run.
Why would the ACC settle? That'd be the death of their conference.
Yeah, the moment the ACC, this is the thing, right? The minute the ACC settles, it sets the ground rules for everybody else to leave.
And they will. So I don't see them settling.
Exactly.
They're going to fight to the death.
Apocalypse now. Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to settle. I don't even know if settle is the right term. Maybe they compromise. Maybe that's part of this 30-31 deal. That they somehow, this 30-31 deal, it gets everybody to just shut up for the next 6 years, and they say, okay, we get to go to open market sooner, and maybe we can get a much better deal than we had in the past, more comparable to the Big Ten and SEC. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get this. $330 million from private equity, and then the ACC says, shove it up your tailpipe. We're not settling for that. Then what are you going to do?
Right. I think you have a very good point. Go ahead, Mo.
College Football Mafia with Greg Flugar. By the way, if you don't follow Greg Flugar on Twitter, shame on you.
Peek around the corner, baby.
At Flug Empire on Twitter, and College Football Peek Around the Corner with Greg Flugar, that mouthful on YouTube. There is no pathway for UNC to leave the ACC as of today.
There we go.
But if there is a pathway out in 2029,
Yep.
per Ross Dellinger's tease of a shortened grant of rights,
Right.
UNC would get offers from Big Ten and SEC before Buckeyes defeat Gophers again.
We agree
Boy,
with you, Greg. We agree with you. We know that's true.
I don't agree with you on the Gophers
I
thing.
agree with it, all of it. I agree with all of it. He's right,
Greg's
though,
got-
about the timing, though. If it's announced that the settlement is that nobody leaves, they drop the lawsuit, and it goes to 29, and then everybody's out, which, by the way, there's a reason why it's 29.
Yeah, the Big Ten
29,
deal.
because that's when the Big Ten contract ends. 30 is when the Big 12 contract ends. 32, 33 is when the SEC contract ends. So they're trying to put those all together, and what's the next step? Oh, I don't know. Super League, enhanced conference affiliations working together, collusion type things, all kinds of possibilities. But,
Sure.
I just don't see Louisville, for instance, they would take the buyout. If it's less than $200 million, I think Louisville goes to the Big 12. I think Brett Yormark uses private equity and helps them make that jump. And there's other schools that would do the same thing. So they're not left holding the bag. So,
speaking of which, Shonsky's in the house, a loyal member.
whoop,
Thank you,
whoop.
Shonsky.
Good to see you, Zonski.
Sounds like maybe a Super League is in the horizon. Well, I think I've got something for that Super League.
Denied.
No Super League.
Something's coming in 29, 30, 31. I will say that, Shonsky. Something's coming. Not sure what.
C. Andrew K. 6 years off of someone's contract hasn't happened since Jeff Collins was head coach. Wow.
I know right where we're going.
Or what just happened
Damn.
at Texas A&M, right? What's his name? Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah. He said that was 8 years, right? At $90 million or whatever.
He's still making $27,000 a day.
It's insane. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, money just doesn't mean anything to people like that, I think.
Well, that probably brings up a good point. This all assumes that all of these numbers, media money, all this stuff keeps trajectorying like this.
Right.
Which is not sustainable. I mean, at some point, it's going to have to level off. Yeah. Like anytime you see financial graphs go, whack, something funny is going to happen at some point. So we're kind of all assuming in 2029, college football looks like this. All these contracts look like this. The money looks like that. It's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I think you're right on. And I've said this on many shows is I think the $1 billion contract that the SEC and the Big Ten signed might be the largest for several years going forward, not just this next contract window, because the economy still sucks. Interest rates are still high, generally not going in the right direction. And media values, we're seeing everybody's turning off ESPN. ESPN's losing subscribers left and right. And I don't know if anybody caught this. We're going to cover this on the show tomorrow night. But Apple just published the fact that they're renegotiating the MLS contract. And everybody thinks, oh, that must have been a success. They're getting more money. No, the MLS is getting less money from Apple. So if you're a Pac-12 fan and you thought Apple was going to save you by signing up a contract that would have given you money per subscriber, you'd actually be owing Apple money at this point. It's not working out, people. So expecting an Apple or an Amazon to halo in and save your conference just because you think they can, I would throw all that crap out. I wouldn't assume anything anymore.
Also, the perception of what you've created by giving your own conference the middle finger, right? Let's say Florida State goes to the SEC, and then they say, hey, no one cares about Mississippi State. Why are we making the same money they are?
Right.
We're suing the SEC or Ohio State, because they're in the Big Ten, makes more money than we do. We're suing our own conference. Like, it's kind of like when you take when you threaten to leave a company and they counteroffer you and then you accept it. That's always dumb. They're never going to forget you were trying to screw them, and you're going to be in your position indefinitely.
Yeah.
Nathan Campbell, I can tell you what it is for the Big 12, private equity, big money, Allstate or State Farm, and Amazon Prime, along with TNT and TBS True Sports. A lot. Let's hope it's not State Farm. We don't like State Farm.
I don't know. I think that a year ago that might have been chalk. You could have said it was 51% chance. Cobbled together agreements would bring more money. This year, I don't assume that any longer. I don't assume that it's going to be that way. And money, while Greg mentions, live sport is king, and it's true, it is, doesn't mean you're making a ton more money with it. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, and this isn't getting into politics, but there is as much uncertainty in the market right now, just generally as a country, as there's ever been. So these big companies you're throwing out might be in worlds apart, different financial situations down the road than they are now, and they're not as apt to start throwing money at stuff.
Time will tell. Steele Austin, again, Flugar sources have told him that USC is planning not to schedule Notre Dame every year anymore. That's a bad signal that Notre Dame's ability to schedule whoever they want is going away. Again, they've got that Clemson deal. I don't think it's probably going to get the ratings of a USC Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's also protected because they've got the guaranteed game against Stanford. It's a non-conference game every single year. So they're going to California at least. Yeah. Well, and that's true too. We don't know what Clemson's going to be once Dabo Swinney leaves. And I can't see him staying there for another 2 or 3 years. So
do they revert to the mean, right? Do they pull back some on their performance once he leaves?
Well, he's hitting the portal now, and he's doing things that he swore he'd quit college football over. So let's see if that makes any difference for him.
That's true.
Greg Fluger, again, Maryland can pay their bills because they joined the Big Ten. Virginia Tech and Virginia can't.
How do you know they can't pay their bills?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
I know State Farm can't pay their bills in the net 90. I can guarantee
What did State Farm do to you, Moen? Why are you so against
I did work for State Farm, and they took way too long to pay me.
Well, that's fair.
Billion-dollar insurance company, and I got to finance them as an independent businessman. That's not right.
You know what the hell is State Farm?
Not
right. FF 18 buffs, Colorado 1990 schedule, Tennessee, Stanford, Illinois, Texas, Washington, Missouri, Iowa State, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Notre Dame. Imagine that today.
Dang, they didn't have like a single group of 5 on their schedule back then. That's a loaded schedule.
Yeah, that's a loaded schedule. But if you get 5 downs to do it, that makes it a little bit easier. So,
man, how do you mess that up?
Tough skit. Well,
that was Cordell Stewart, right? The quarterback.
Yes, I believe Cordell was.
Cordell Stewart, yeah. and he was one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in person. I watched him play at Washington, and he was absolutely electric. So, yeah, they got that extra down against Missouri, but they were a really good team. And Georgia Tech they weren't lightweights either. I would have loved to have seen a tournament for those two teams to play that year. That would have been a great game to watch. Yeah.
Daniel Garby says Belichick will only be there 2 to 3 years. They won't be out of the ACC by then.
That's fair. We talked about it a little bit before the show. I just don't see any way that, like, if Belichick has any success this year, let's say Belichick wins 8 or 9 games and he gets an offer from the NFL, he can leave for like $1 million and go become the winningest coach in NFL history.
Right.
And that's what would happen. Or he fails horribly and you're paying a guy $10 million, like, I don't know, Mike Norvell to go 2-10. So.
But what I mean, could he do worse than Mac did the last 2-3 years?
You could go 2-10.
I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think
no one thought Florida State was going to be that bad. I was told they're going to win the conference this year.
I picked him to win the conference, so
So
Yeah.
did I.
I was one of those.
But listen,
not
I was
sure.
also preseason telling people not to sleep on Georgia Tech
I was also telling everybody Utah was
Well, there
overrated.
you go.
or Syracuse. I had Georgia Tech and Syracuse.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
72-year-old Belichick sideshow brings his 24-year-old girlfriend along with it. Lots of eyeballs will be tuning in to get a glimpse. KC has their Swiftie viewers, and North Carolina will have their Belichickies.
I honestly believe, I
Uh,
think what I said earlier about the play with Belichick, North Carolina, in my opinion, it's all about leveraging like Prime did for a few years. Bringing in
I don't
money,
disagree with you.
raising the
eyeballs.
profile, getting on TV all the time, all these things, looking forward to the next media deal, right? Looking forward to the realignment wave that'll come at the end of the decade. In my opinion, it's a short-term investment, but if it works, it could have an amazing return.
But how sad is that? Why did Colorado hire Dion? No one else was going to give him a shot. Same thing with Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
So you're basically
personality.
saying North Carolina is in the same position Colorado was in as far as a football program, or in a similar? I mean,
that's a tough thing to say, but maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it
North
makes me
Carolina, all
happy.
that. I'm sure it does.
Hey, you gave me my next video idea.
There you go.
Colorado and UNC.
Yeah,
Two
compare and
sides of the
contrast.
same crappy coin.
Illini Ted says, but does Bill have the same draw as Dion? Maybe for a couple games, but I have my doubts for the long haul. If he does bad, if they do poorly, I think that benefits them more than if he is successful. Because I think there's a whole legion of NFL fans who want to watch Bill Belichick fail.
Sure, but I think it's a good point. Like, Dion's a personality,
Yes.
right? Like, Dion ranked his own sons on Twitter as from who he liked most to least. Bill Belichick despises the media.
Yeah.
Like, actively ruins his own press conferences. So, I don't know. There might be something to what he's saying.
Skaven, yes. If they drop 5 or 6 years off, wouldn't that make it easier to pay the buyout?
Yeah.
I don't know what it would do to the buyout.
Yeah, it would lower the term of the buyout. Yes. So
I don't know about how much.
I don't know about how much either. I think you might do the calculation, but if you were to cut off, what is it, 2036? Let's say you take off 6 years of that, that necessarily lowers the total amount of the media deal. And if you're hearing on Twitter, and I'm not going to use names, but I saw this in print on Twitter today, people saying that the Twitter payout is going to stay the same even if they shorten the contract by 6 years. Anybody who's saying that, you need to immediately quit following, because it's ridiculous. The overall value that the proposition was 500 million, 600 million. The proposition statement, if you take 6 years off of that, it immediately takes off half the value. It doesn't stay at the same valuation. That's insane. Nobody's making that. NFL football barely making that much at that same evaluation for 6 years. So just really pay attention to what people are saying, and don't just take, some of these catchphrases people are doing to get clicks.
Speaking of which, just snap into it and like the stream.
Yeah, like it. Just like it. By the way, this is like an ACC thing, and I want to ask you this, Moen, because you just won a national title, which makes me
don't make him feel
happy
good,
because an SEC team didn't, and I'm sure they're crying about that. But if, let's say, you had to win one game to make another national title run from an ACC team, who would you not want to play for next year? In other words, who do you think is the best team in the ACC coming into 2025?
Are we including Notre Dame?
No, they're not
No.
an ACC
Okay.
school.
Oh, well, they get full voting rights, so
Yeah, but that's
it's-
they don't count, and they don't play for a championship.
okay.
They don't.
Okay, we're not counting them.
Yeah.
Because we need a new defensive coordinator, and I know Carson Beck has the ability to be good, I'd be most concerned about Miami. And I'm just telling you why. We got to break in new pretty much the entire secondary other than Caleb Downs has to be broken in. We got Igbinosun coming back. The man is a human pass interference machine. So I'd be worried about a team that could air it out against Ohio State. And the only team that I think could really do that in the ACC right now would be Miami.
So you're worried about a quarterback that looks like Timmy from South Park.
I agree. He looks like he's constantly stoned, but he did show me that when he had competent receivers at Georgia, he was capable. And if they give him competent receivers at Miami, they let him air it out like they did Cam Ward, that frightens me more. I think we've got enough depth on the defensive line and linebackers at Ohio State. We could stop a running quarterback like Haynes King or just even a competent duo running back. I'm worried about the secondary. I'm legitimately worried about the secondary.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
CFB Plus says, I think this whole UNC to the SEC stuff is like 20 years down the road. Okay. By the way, guys, we're going to be here about another 15 minutes. Can you stick with us, Rec Talk, or do you have to split or anything? We're not holding you. Okay.
I can't.
Yeah, you can take off whenever you want. Just let us know. It's not a big deal.
We want to make sure we're not holding you hostage, guys. With that being said, we got about 15 minutes left. It is last call. Make sure you get your questions, comments, super chats, everything in now. Nate is going to be highlighting them. Again, we defer to members' comments. Rambling on with Zach Jones. Pyron has heart. Dude will fight for your team. He just never found real playing time at Georgia Tech. And when he did, he didn't play the best, unfortunately. He's a Tech man for life.
Yeah, the other unfortunate thing with him is a guy named Aaron Philo is right behind him. If you don't know this kid, he broke Trevor Lawrence's state passing record, like total yards, and he did it in 3 years. And he's a guy to watch out for Tech when Haynes King leaves. He's the real deal. Just kind of unfortunate for Pyron.
Well, let me ask you a question, Rec Talk, while we've got you here.
Ask it.
What do you think Haynes King next year? Do you think he is a dark horse Heisman candidate?
So let me try and take my Homer glasses off for a second, because his best wide receiver just got bought in Eric Singleton Jr., so he's going to be down him. He could be, yes. I think don't sleep on Haynes King. In particular, because if Georgia Tech keeps Buster Faulkner as their OC, now we know Oklahoma and people came for him, but he's in a system right now that works for him. With motion, with getting him in high percentage plays, the guy's a baller. He's tough. I don't remember seeing him slide this year. That'll be the biggest thing, is him staying healthy. You're not going to be able to take those hits like you did last year. Like, you're going to have to get down. He's got underrated arm talent, really, because he's kind of known as a mobile quarterback first. But, yes, I do think Haynes King is that good. Do I think he's in the top 5 preseason? No, I'm not at all saying that.
Dark horse candidate.
He could be for sure. He could be a dark horse candidate, especially with how Georgia Tech's schedule lines up this year. It's probably the easiest schedule they've had in the past 5 to 7 years. Be watching out for that Colorado game, man. It'll be interesting to see him. I don't know. Now, I got lit up by a Deion Sanders fan because they're not Colorado fans. They're fans of Deion Sanders for saying I didn't know if Juju Lewis was going to start. But that'd be an interesting matchup. Juju Lewis right down the street from me, Carrollton, Georgia.
Yeah, you'd imagine with the pitcher on the throne, he has to start.
Yeah.
Bomber, ask him how much he knows about Trey Alexander III. He chose BYU over Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Trey Alexander is a stud, man. He's in the defensive backfield that was the #1 ball hawking defensive group in all of 2024. So 22 or 23 interceptions. It's remarkable, and he was a big part of that. This next year, I think he's going to have a breakout season. I'm not sure you even knew he was gone. Did you, Rec, or do you recognize his name?
The name sounds familiar. He must not have done much here. But
that's out of high school. He was never at Georgia Tech. It's
Okay, so you flipped them. Yeah, that hurts. Yeah, good get for BYU. I'm not super familiar with them. Tech did flip a stud guy like that from Clemson this year. So that's the biggest thing for Tech. You know, they got to step up on defense a little more, especially in the pass rush. So we'll see.
WT7, 2 of Ohio State's national championships from this century don't count to me. They won one on a bad call, and they lost to 6-5 Michigan this year.
I'll take this from here.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
What's the problem?
This guy's a Georgia fan troll that, he got one whiff of my ass and wanted to crawl right up in there. This is what I'm talking about with the absolute disgrace to the human race that Georgia fans are. They point fingers at everybody about crying about refs when that's all they do. And then when they don't, this is how soft these guys are. This is how absolutely soft these guys are. Even when another team wins a national title. Oh, yeah, well, doesn't count to me. Well, no one gives a shit what you think, say, or do. So how about that? Type about that.
Yeah, exactly what he said. And
Yeah, it's
Michigan
like Dad
cheated
just
to
hit
get
Mom
that
at the dinner table now. We're all still trying to eat. I know.
Plate of spaghettis on the wall. Bomber, do you think Canzano is being used again in regards to UNLV? We didn't really get a touch on that too much tonight, but yes, that was a report coming out that UNLV and Nevada were possible targets for the Pac-12.
Right.
Gloria Navarez, the commissioner of the Mountain West, then came out and stated,
Nobody's
we've
going
got
anywhere.
nobody's going anywhere. We've got to grant rights through 20 whatever.
900.
And again, you had people commenting, well, that only counts if you do pay UNLV
Right.
all that money you promised them. And that money can only come from the money you're getting from the Pac-12 who is suing
Right.
you. What's up with West Coast football? It's like Jerry Springer, guys.
It really is. It's a year after the Pac-12 did the exact same song and dance. I think that you asked the question directly, do I think John is being used again? Actually, I think he learned his lesson. If you read his reporting recently, you'll see it's all tinged with a little of maybe, could be. So he's hedging his bets. I think he learned his lesson. I'm certainly not here to tell you what he learned. I'd love to have John back on the show and ask him a retrospective, kind of how have you changed the way you do things now? But there was no doubt he was absolutely taken advantage of by the powers that be at the Pac-12. And I think he learned his lesson. He wants to be positive about West Coast and Mountain West football. But I don't think used is not a term I would put around John Canzano any longer. That's my opinion.
Okay. You have any opinion on that, Rec Talk?
What team makes realignment if the ACC falls apart? It seems like Miami, Clemson, Florida State, and UNC right now. Where do you think Georgia Tech falls if the ACC falls apart? Right on your head. That's where it'll fall. That's what I have to say about that. You tell WT7 to shut his mouth. He wants to hear what I got to say tonight.
Oh, geez.
Shonsky says, I think North Carolina is preparing for the upcoming Super League that will include all the AQ schools. Project Rudy is not going to happen. There is no such thing as Project Rudy. It's all conspiracy theory, guys. It's all conspiracy theory.
That's what Moen says. Anything's possible. That's what I'm saying.
There is a lot of conspiracy. I need to debut like an Alex Jones-like character.
Oh,
UNC's
geez.
out right now.
That's
They're college
perfect.
football globalist.
That's perfect.
That's actually fantastic, right? I would do that in a heartbeat, man. That's
My blood runs red. Ah. They're turning UNC to an SEC team.
Just don't
Take
talk
my
about
SEC supplement.
just don't talk about kids getting shot in schools, okay? Just avoid that and
Whoa.
you'll be okay.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it.
Good.
Timothy Green says, hey, Bomber Mo, and I have to go to the doctor early in the morning.
All
So
right,
I'll see you on your
Timothy.
next show. I always enjoy watching you guys. Daniel, if you're still on here, I'll catch you later too, sir. Thank you, Timothy Green. Hope all goes well for you at the doctor.
Yes.
He probably tells you need more milk. Drink that milk.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you, Timothy. As always, we'll see you Friday night.
Good old
Going
Tim.
through here. Notre Dame older fans would never let them leave their independence, but as they have new, younger fans, they aren't as worried about being an independent. The transition is occurring, but still some time away. My only comment is, as long as we stop them from winning a national championship, that's the most important thing.
Isn't that
What is-
sad?
What
Jesus
does the
literally.
generation thing have to do with anything?
Yeah,
That's my
like the
question.
kids are making decisions.
Yeah, I don't
Notre
think
Dame.
they just want. You telling me your average Notre Dame student right now today isn't happy that they're independent?
I'm sure they are.
I think they are. I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't be.
I mean, it is sad that Jesus overlooks your football games and
Well,
you
that's
haven't
a different
won a
conversation.
national title since. I mean, hell, Moses was only out there for 40 years. How long is Notre Dame going to be?
Yeah. Ronald Reagan was president. Remember that. Ronald
I
Reagan
think-
was president.
I think the point Illini Ted's trying to make here is we don't know, as time will tell, maybe the marketplace changes. And I think that's a good point that Ted makes, is that in the future, and maybe it might be near future, they just decided it's too much of a hassle to go it alone. And that would be an easier transition with kids that aren't, they were raised in it, but they certainly didn't live the heart of independence like, us older people have. And so I could see that being an easier transition. I just can't. Again, I've been on how many of these shows, 100 shows or more, and I asked the same question. Somebody give me a motivation for Notre Dame to leave independence, and I haven't heard one reasonable answer. So I don't know what else to say about that.
It's fair.
Justin R., South Florida Bull, reminds us billable hours remain undefeated.
Yeah, those lawyers.
The streak is alive. The streak.
I learned that when I got divorced. Yeah, boy.
Gosh. Couple
Like, do we
times
just have
with
to
these
stay
with
here?
these with these divorce comments. I'm sorry, that was dramatic.
Do you know why? Do you know why
I
got
don't.
divorced?
I'm not. No, I don't.
Because I learned that my ex-wife went to Georgia, and I said,
Oh.
"Screw that."
Oh.
Well, how could you not know that going into it?
Shit,
Don't
but-
you do
well, I
background?
I didn't ask for a diploma. She never told me. Maybe
Figured
I'll
you guys
start
did-
doing that. I'll go
Jordan,
on a date.
Yeah, I figured you'd engineer some software to do background checks.
Hey, no lie, I have ruined a date over that. When I learned they were a Georgia
geez.
fan, I swear to God, and I just shit talked Georgia the whole time because I'm like, this isn't going anywhere. I'm not
Oops.
dealing with this
Oh, wow.
for however long. And it was great. It was great. I didn't have to pay. She just went up. She asked for the check and left, and then I got to eat in peace.
Oh,
There
wow.
you go. Wow.
Okay, that's one way to go.
Real American hero right here. Oh boy, I'm not even going to try and pronounce this name. Brother or
Kunlin
sister?
C.
Sounds like a tech man
Kunlin
already.
Shea or C. Yeah, I would say something like that. Kunlin Shea.
What's your season prediction for Georgia Tech? Who do you think we beat, and who do you think we lose to? We'll give that one to you, Rick.
Let me pull a schedule up real quick here, and I'll look you right in the eye to answer this one. Right, my big brown eyes. Let's see, Georgia. I got 3 screens here. I got enough. Got
Let's
one
go.
for each of you.
Multitask. Let's get that done.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you. Also, that guy was from Georgia. If you didn't know, Griffin, Georgia. All right.
Okay.
So we open up with Colorado. Let's put that one on the back burner for a second. It's probably the toughest road game. We're going to beat Gardner-Webb. I'm never going to pick us to beat Clemson until we do. When was the last time we beat Clemson? I think Deshaun Watson was the quarterback. It was his freshman year. I think we lose to Clemson. We better beat Temple because when Jeff Collins was the coach, we only scored 2 points against them, which is hard to do. Kind of have to actively try to only score 2 points, but I think we beat Temple. Wake's in a total rebuild. Dave Clawson, who knows what happened there? He says he stepped down. Usually you don't break up mutually. Think we beat Notre Dame. Then we get a well-placed bye. We get Virginia Tech at home. And maybe you guys know more about Virginia Tech than me. I'm not all that super impressed with Virginia Tech. They're this darling dark horse every year based on nothing. We'll put that one on the back burner too. We own Duke. Syracuse, I don't know what to expect now that they're losing Honda McCord.
Yep.
Who knows what they're going to be? I don't know what NC State's going to have. I think they're going to be better. Boston College is going to be, I think, better. I think Bill O'Brien was an excellent hire for them. And Pitt, who knows? So let's just assume we lose to Clemson, we lose to Georgia, and then we're going to lose one between like Pitt Boston College, NC State, Syracuse. Let's just say it's Syracuse. I'd have us 8-4, and our 4 losses coming to Georgia, Clemson, Syracuse. I think could be a tough one for us. And at Boston College. Boston College is a team that I don't like to play. Boston College is a tough bunch of white corn-fed dudes on the offensive line, and I just have a ton of respect for Bill O'Brien. So I got us going 8-4.
8-4. That's pretty good yet.
As long as
It'd
you
be an
beat Notre
improvement
Dame.
over this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we
But
can't
now-
beat Notre Dame to save our lives.
You guys get Georgia at home this year. You guys got to
We
keep
play
it
them in the
within-
bins.
Okay. You got to keep it within one. Do you get ACC refs this year?
I have no idea, but let me tell the Georgia fans something, all right? Because they should be embarrassed. It took them 8 overtimes, and you had our quarterback Haynes King dragging 5-star guys down the field like rag dolls. And yeah, we didn't win the game, but Georgia Tech, we didn't come to mess around, all right? Brent Key walks into a room, his dick's been there for 10 minutes already, all right? So we're about to rattle off 2 or 3 in a row against you, and it's going to start this year. In fact, take that loss off. I'll take a loss to Duke, and we're going to beat you.
There we go.
All right.
Right from the horse's mouth.
Some of these sunglasses, I put them on, man. I get fired up.
Fired up.
Let's answer this last one, Moen.
okay.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
Are the rumors of North Carolina leaving the ACC? There's rumors of everybody leaving the ACC.
Yeah.
He put a court. There's a
Check.
question mark. It's supposed to be a question, not a statement.
Oh, are they true rumors?
Yeah.
We can't answer
rumors-
that. We
Yeah,
don't know.
ACC,
You know. We can't see the future. All we can do is speculate. We can say who's, Ross Dellinger teased it today on his podcast that possibly part of the new
Maybe.
ACC media deal, possibly
Yeah.
it somehow restricts that grant of rights down to 2031. There's also been rumors of North Carolina having a date that they're going to potentially draw a line in the sand and get into it legally with the ACC. Those are the rumors. Whether or not they're true, I can't say. Personally, I believe it's a bunch of posturing.
Yeah.
I think I think it's messaging. They're trying to tell Notre Dame something. They're trying to tell the ACC something. They're communicating with Clemson and Florida State. And it's all about messaging. In my opinion, if they were going to announce something, they would have done it months ago. I don't think they're even close to doing anything on Saturday. And they'll probably do some sort of kick the can down the road on this, this opt-in thing. But I don't think they're anywhere close to a settlement. That's my dumb opinion.
No, and the hilarious thing is that they always, whoever reports this always has the out. Oh, well, it was going to happen. But now I'm hearing things change. It's just like, there's no outer space. They're all composites. Every image you send me is a composite, and it's silly to me. And I make fun of all these people relentlessly.
Quick heads up. There was just a plane crash going into Ronald Reagan. A commuter plane of some sort hit a helicopter and went into the Potomac. I've been trying to see if I can find an actual report. All I'm seeing is video. But if you certainly, our prayers go out to the people affected by that, families and everything. But if you happen to have anybody traveling, you might want to check on that. That literally just happened in the last 5 minutes. So
Tragic. Wow.
yeah, really.
We'll do this. This will be our last comment, and then we'll do a little last call here. Antoine Johnson, CFB is not growing. Realignment is not going to grow CFB.
Yeah.
It's just going to move fans to a new conference. When the dust settles, the growth problem will still exist.
I think that's very viably false. Like, college football is growing. It's just a question of if it's going to continue to grow at this rate or it's going to plateau at some point.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to jump out of here, guys. Before we go, you have been entertained by the audacious one, the ostentatious, lascivious. Some might call him lewd. Rec Talk. Tell
Yes,
these fine
sir.
people where they can find you at.
All right, quiet down, ladies, because I'm not taking you home no matter what you say. You can find me right here on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at rec_talk. I do videos weekly. If you just type Rec Talk in YouTube, and I do a lot of trash talk, do a lot of shit talk. Hell, I did one on Ohio State recently about them and Epstein. Shocker, but yeah, come see us over there. We have a good time, man. Comment. Sometimes I'll respond, and yeah, appreciate it. That's what I got going on.
All right.
Oh, and I also got a video coming up, the Rec Talk Razzies. So we've got the worst of college football, the biggest crybaby fan base, the biggest crybaby coach. I forget all of the things, like the anti-Heisman. Who had the biggest expectations that crapped down their own leg the worst, right? So I got that in the works coming up, so be looking out for that.
Absolutely. We'll tag your channel in our comment section and our description as well. Make sure people head over there. Nate, do you have a show coming up tomorrow that you want to promote?
No, not tomorrow night. Our next show will be Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that'll be our big freaking Friday show. We'll summarize what's gone on in the news up to that day, and then we'll have some fun doing it. So please come. And then if you're not a member, or even if you are a member, make sure you check out our member videos. Just go to the membership tab on our main College Football Mafia page on YouTube. And those membership videos are there. Wild Ute does the best videos out, and the content is amazing. So you want to be the smartest guy at the water cooler tomorrow, become a member tonight, and you can catch up on the latest realignment stuff talking about the Mountain West and the Pac-12.
Absolutely. And I want to end this as the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes here. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to Moen After Dark. Son of a plumber, son of a working man, but I got that blue-eyed soul. Got that blue-eyed soul, baby. Gonna go to the pay window. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will see you on Friday night.
Peace out.